Hi and welcome back to ScottiesTech.Info. I'm Scotty with my co-host Cletus and a special guest. So, do you have headaches? You sit at your computer, you're doing work all day, maybe you're using your smartphone all the time, and you have consistent headaches. So you start popping the pills, naproxen, aspirin, ibuprofen, whatever, and eventually it kind of becomes a habit. You get these headaches, they just won't go away. Do you have that? If you do, you may want to look at your posture, believe it or not. So, very often headaches are caused by poor posture because of our wonderful technology. I had this problem, my wife had this problem, and I'm going to tell you how we actually solved it. Now, you can be fairly certain that your headaches are actually caused by poor posture if you also have pain in your back, especially your upper back, on your shoulders, one side or the other, maybe both. If you have neck pain, that is a pretty good sign that everything is out of whack, and yes, in fact, it can cause headaches. So the first thing is, you might just go like, right, I think my headaches are caused by, poor posture, blah, blah, blah. So you Google it. Don't Google it. Because if you Google it, what you're going to find is all kinds of wonderful advice that is apparently completely wrong. For example, you can Google proper seating position, and what you'll find are pictures of ergonomic chairs, many of which are extremely bad. If you have the kind of kneeling chair like this one, I was told by multiple different types of therapists that that kind of chair is like the worst possible kind of chair you can sit on. So first of all, let's talk about proper posture and how to actually do it correctly. Now, the first mistake that everyone makes is what I did beginning when I was probably, it takes us back to, I was probably about 13 years old, and I was always being told to sit straight, right? So I kind of started telling myself, like, well, sitting straight, it's better for posture. I won't have a sore back when I'm in my 40s, so on and so forth. So what I would do is I would sit and I would stick my bum back, which would unnaturally arch my back. And I discovered that that would cause lower back pain. But because I was young, I just kept doing it that way. So I and many others got it into our heads that the proper way to sit is actually to stick your butt back and your chest out and to arch your back a lot. That's actually completely wrong. So the proper way to actually sit is to form two right angles. The first right angle is your thighs and your lower legs. You should be like this. You should be right, your thighs coming out, your legs going down, feet flat on the floor. That's the first right angle, formed by your knees. The second right angle is formed by your thighs and your torso, also a second right angle. So you'll notice if you do that, that you're not going to stick your chest out and stick your butt out and everything. You kind of naturally sort of roll back and forth, and you end up sitting on your sit bones, whatever you call those, your pelvis, whatever. And you naturally kind of balance on these two bones. And so you're not going to kind of slouch, and you're not going to stick your butt out. You're going to be kind of like right in the middle. And if you do that, you have this nice right angle formed by your thighs and your torso. And then, of course, you have the second right angle formed by your thighs and your lower legs. So you got your two right angles. The next thing to do is to relax your shoulders. I sound like Dick Sutphin. Relax your shoulders. So very often when we have poor posture, what we tend to do is hunch our shoulders. We pull them up like this. And that causes all kinds of problems up here. I won't go into details because I'm not like a professional therapist. But you need to have the two right angles and then relax your shoulders. Just sit and relax them. And you may actually have to like do some work and like consciously focus on doing this, because we very often carry all kinds of tension around with us in our shoulders and everything. But if you have like hunched shoulders, and you may not even realize you're doing this because you've been doing it your whole life, everything gets messed up there. Trust me on this one. So two right angles, sit on your sit bones, relax your shoulders, and the final thing you want to pay attention to is what I like to call the ET head, which is why we have our special guest. Now you'll notice here, what does ET's head do? It sticks forward. And that's exactly what we do. If we're sitting at a computer, what happens is, don't fall over. Stay. he's going to pass out in a second. What we usually do is if you're sitting at your computer, you're typing your keyboard and you start going like this. Or especially smartphone users, what they do is you're sitting there like this, and instead of going like this, you kind of sit there like this, and you're playing on your phone. And I notice my back is curved like this, my head is tilted down. Sometimes I stick my neck out. So ET head is when you do this with your head. Maybe you have bad eyesight, maybe whatever, but for whatever reason, you push your head forward. So sit on your sit bones, shoulders relaxed, and keep your chin back. Now there's a trick that my dear friend France, who is a holistic gym practitioner, taught me, and that is to pull the wire, pull the string. So an easy way to do all of this automatically without even thinking about it is to imagine that there is a thread or a string, whatever, coming out of the top of your head, going straight up. And what you're going to do is when you're sitting there, you're going to imagine that someone is pulling on that string. So, if you're like this, if someone had a string attached to the top of your head and was pulling it straight up, you would naturally just kind of sit up like this, right? And your chin would kind of naturally go back, and you'd go, oh, yeah, that's much better. So pull the string. Imagine that you're kind of like a marionette, and someone is pulling this string on the top of your head, and that will almost automatically get everything sort of resituated so that you're actually sitting with much, much better posture. Now, as I said, I don't always have good posture. Right. It's kind of an ongoing process. You have to sort of work at it. You have sort of unconsciously screwed up your posture for years and years, so now you're going to have to consciously, actively work at it and continually remind yourself. And of course, you're going to go back into like, whoa, that's super cool. And then you're going to have to go, hang on a minute. Let me do this instead. There's no quick, easy solution. Another thing you can do to help is to get a good desk chair for your computer, your office, whatever. Now, I actually have this chair. It's an Anda seat. It's not exactly this chair. The one I have isn't available. And what I did is I bought a chair that has 50,000 adjustments. So this one, the seat goes up and down. The seat cushion is extremely comfortable. The armrests can actually go out like this, in. They can go up and down, and you can even rotate them like this. So when you're trying to sit, you relax your shoulders. You have your elbows resting gently and on the armrests, and then you want your arms straight. You don't want too extended, too far in. It gets kind of complicated. You'll have to play around with it. So my solution was to buy one of these chairs, which I have found to be extremely helpful. And one of the reasons is if you do the ET head thing, you can adjust these chairs so that the back is very, very straight. They have it seems like almost infinite adjustment. And then they usually give you a lumbar cushion as well. So the thing is that I got this chair because I was doing the ET head thing all the time. And so with a chair with a tall back, and I'm a pretty tall guy, so I had to get a pretty big chair. If I'm sitting at my computer and I'm sitting there programming and I'm working away and I start doing this, I go, and because I have a chair with a tall back, I go, no, put your head back, resting gently on the back of the chair. And that helps me have a good posture. Now, my wife, she had these same problems with headaches and neck pain and everything. And I said to her, you've got to get a chair like the one I have. These Anda seats are fabulous. And of course, she said, well, they're kind of expensive, blah, blah, blah. So what she did is she got approximately 3,000 different sizes and shapes of pillows. And she put a whole bunch of pillows on her chair. And every time she gets up from her desk, these 3,000 pillows all fall onto the floor. And that was her solution to the problem. So, if you don't have a lot of money, or you don't want to buy a whole new chair, maybe you like your existing chair, you can also just get a whole bunch of inexpensive pillows and just kind of prop everything up until you find a comfortable position. Now, we also actually have another friend who is technically she's like a sports massage therapist. So what we did is we actually asked her to come over and observe us sitting in our chairs, and she helped us to correct our posture. Right. That's actually not a bad idea. Many times you don't even have to actually get the massage or whatever kind of therapist, kinesthesiologist, osteopath, massage therapist, whatever. You don't even have to get them to come to your home. You may even be able to just snap a few photographs, send them to them and say, hey, can you give me some advice? That's helpful. Now, if you start practicing these simple tips and you go, geez, I still have pain, and like you can kind of massage yourself, you might feel a knot, then you may want to actually go see some kind of therapist. You may go to a massage therapist and they'll start working on your upper back, your neck or whatever, and they'll feel like a super tight knot, and they'll go, geez, you got a lot of tension here. And so like they work it really good. And of course, for, maybe a few days, maybe a few weeks, you feel fantastic, your headaches go away, boom, you're done. And then after that time period, they start coming back again. At this point, you're probably going to want to go a little bit deeper and maybe look at things from a slightly different angle. When we have muscle knots, and the word knot is kind of a clue, I think, because it sort of struck me as rather humorous, because knot, K-N-O-T, we have knots in our muscles, which is kind of like a homonym of K-N-O-T. It sounds the same as N-O-T, knot, negativity, that sort of thing. When we have these muscle knots, very often they are essentially kind of like blocked emotions. Now, I have a funny story about that, because I was talking to someone I know one time, and I said, someone who's having a problem with like back pain or whatever, and I said, well, yeah, the person's tried this and this and this and this, and maybe there's some sort of like emotional thing to look at, and so this person said in response to me, she said like, well, but emotions don't have anything to do with muscles. Emotions can't make your muscles sore. And I went, okay, I'll just let that one slide, and right. So you don't have to actually go into woo-woo land here to explain why emotions can have an effect on your physical body. It's actually pretty simple, especially in the case of muscles. If you just think about it logically for a minute, like what happens when, one day you're at work and you get really stressed, and you kind of hunch your shoulders and you're tight, and you feel the stress in your body, right? And you may get home at the end of the day and you're like, oh God, I got like a sore neck and a sore back and all this kind of stuff, right? There may be one particular event where you're particularly stressed, angry, sad, whatever, right? And what you've just done is you've just kind of, you did it unconsciously, but you sort of tensed up physically, right? Now, if every time a similar situation happens, you sort of do the same thing and you're always going like this, what you actually end up doing is your brain is teaching your body that the way you deal with stress is to like contract this muscle and pulls all these tendons and ligaments out of whack and that sort of thing, right? And then what happens? Well, then you kind of get a knot. There's actually a fascinating book by a guy called Dr. John Sarno. It was a New York Times bestseller. Lots of people, very popular book. Book called Healing Back Pain. And if you want more information on all this, read his book, because he gives a fantastic series of accounts about like what he discovered about people's back pain and do you need surgery or not, and blah, blah, blah. And it's related to headaches and all kinds of other things. But he kind of gives a really good explanation as to like how these sort of like emotions and crazy events actually cause physical problems in our body. So, right, you may have to dig a little bit deeper, and that's going to mean not just going for like the physical massage, but also accepting the fact that, right, okay, I've basically trained my body to react in this way, so now I need to teach it new things. And of course, things like meditation can help, or whatever you find relaxing can help, managing your stress better, just generally trying to be happier. Also, thinking about the past and stressful events and just kind of trying to figure things out and look at especially even how you react right now to events, and simply becoming conscious of the fact that, geez, I'm all stressed out right now. Oh, hang on a minute, I'm doing the ET head thing, I'm doing the hunch shoulders thing. Okay, relax, pull the string, da, 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 da. And just by becoming more aware of what your body is doing at stressful times, non-stressful times, happy times, just observe it. Just doing that and continually correcting your posture will basically, those tracks in your brain that made you hunch up and tighten all these muscles and stuff, you'll basically erase that and go back to like, okay, I'm kind of relaxed and my shoulders are slow and now everything is good. So as I said, it's, there is no quick and dirty solution to this. That's why so many people go to like massage therapists or chiropractors or whatever, and they have to keep going again and again and again. That's obviously necessary, but it's not something that you should have to do for the rest of your life. It's something that, if you're actually looking at it from different angles, you should actually be able to eventually fix it and sort of get over it and manage it on your own. Because if not, then you're still doing something that's causing that problem, and you need to actually resolve that particular issue, and then the muscle tension will go away, the pain will go away, and so on. One last thing that I want to note is my friend France, who's the holistic gym instructor slash therapist, she also told me something. I was taking classes with her, and my wife and I both actually, and she said, if your feet are messed up, it can screw up your neck. And I thought, well, that is the craziest thing I have ever heard. And then she actually, through the exercises that she had us do, actually kind of demonstrated how that was so. And when you start sort of observing your body and the tension in it, and what tension you carry where, and maybe what feelings it might be related to, what situations, what stresses it's related to, you very quickly become aware of the fact that, like, if your foot hurts or your knee hurts, even just, and again, this is kind of like not really woo-woo, there's very logical explanations to it. It's like, if my left leg is messed up, I might start favoring my right leg, which kind of like tilts my hips or something, and I'm using more muscles on one side of my body than the other, and suddenly everything is out of whack, and I've got a pain in my neck. Everything is connected, and it's kind of interesting to me that, we have smartphones and tablets and laptops, and we have all this wonderful technology, and we have cars that will drive themselves, and we're all, I'm going to understand this machine and how to use it. And yet the most important machine we have is the bodies that we occupy, and they're insanely complex. If I have a, tension in my upper back, and it's pulling my back like this and pushing my chest, I'm actually creating tension in muscles here, which can cause problems in another part of the body, because the original problem here caused a problem here, which causes a problem down there. It's crazy. So if you try all that, I think you're going to see rather positive results. Both, as I said, both my wife and I had problems. Mine was in my upper back, hers was more in her neck, and they have been greatly, greatly alleviated by better chairs, proper posture. Pulling the string a lot helps a lot, because you can even use it when, say, not just when you're sitting. It's also like when you're standing, you're not standing like this. You're not hunching your shoulders. You like at every point in the day, when you're driving, when you're sitting in your car, when you're walking around the grocery store, think about the string and pull the string, and you will constantly sort of reinforce for your brain and create new tracks in your brain, which will create new configurations in your body, which is going to relieve all sorts of problems and pain, and you should be much happier, and hopefully that will also make your headaches go away. So if you have any useful tips for posture and headaches and neck pain and back pain and all that stuff, let me know in the comments below. Hopefully that'll get you at least going on the right path. For more techie tips, see ScottiesTech.Info. Thanks for watching. See you next time.